see this crown? Yeah, they calling me king now. They calling me king now. But this what I've been about.
So basically, I've just been reaching out to a lot of music supervisors because I'm really interested in that field. So I have a couple questions, but I thought we could kind of have like an open conversation about your experiences and any insights you could share.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So I saw that you started Griffin Music Publishing Group. So I kind of wanted to know a little bit about how you started that and how your experience with that has been.
Well, I started back when just after. Excuse me.
You're good.
I started that just after college or around college. I was pursuing songwriting real heavy. So, I was networking around the big producers in Miami. I was around the Grammy Foundation, and the foundation of any, I guess, revenue or any money that a songwriter or producer makes is through publishing. So, regardless, it was going to be, I'm going to have to deal with publishing. So I thought to myself, why not start a publishing companies? So, it has its ups and downs. I got into the world of signing a few independent acts in Panama when I was over in Central America. There were some big opportunities that came onto the table, but things didn't work out. Not on the business side, but with the act themselves. So I had I was working with this one band and they broke up. So that's the nature of the business. And now basically in terms of music publishing, I just use that for my own catalog. And my team that I work with, we use that for our own catalog to collect any royalties that might come through or any opportunities. We use that. So it's just, we're not really doing any artist development or A&R work for other artists. I might do that later on, sometime in the future, but right now just keeping it in-house.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I definitely feel that with, it's kind of scary with songwriters. I write myself and I've been doing some stuff for productions, and it's scary thinking about like where it's all going to go. Would you recommend, because I see that it's an LLC, would you recommend anyone who's writing stuff for productions or for themselves to start that? Or, do you see it as being a good thing, or do you see that there are some steps that you would want to take before doing that?
Or starting a company?
You said you kind of use it for your own projects, essentially. Like you're not bringing in artists so much. You're able to have control of the publishing information.
Right.
So would you recommend that to independent songwriters or?
Yes. I mean, just to be strategic. I mean, there depending on, where you live or, there's some protection advantages, in terms of if someone wants to sue you or, you're going into negotiations, you have a separate entity to protect yourself. There's a layer to that. There are some tax advantages. I mean, just depending on where you live, so I'm not an accountant. I'm not, and it varies. So if someone wants to look into that, they would have to speak with someone who's a tax specialist, and I think having an entity to where the money comes is more streamlined. Mm-hmm. You can operate as you can just have legal separation from all the things that you're doing and manifesting. So right. There's a lot of advantages, but those are the top 2 or 3.
Cool. Awesome. So I also saw that you started Ajani. Is that how I would pronounce your name too? I want to make sure I'm getting that. Ajani. Okay, great. You also started AjaniMedia. So how has that experience been for you, and how did you go about that as well?
I started a YouTube channel and I learned how to edit and I edit pretty well now.
Nice.
So, and I learned some videography, really. So I developed my videography skills and my production skills in film. And it got to the point to where, people want to pay me for that type of work. So, I got to a point and I started doing it. So, content, marketing. I went to school for marketing and I understand content. So, and I was developing myself, I guess, a brand around content creation. So I said to myself, why not do this? Because I saw a lot of brands and a lot of musicians, they need content. They either don't know how to do it or they don't have the time, or it's the both. So, my main goal is to fill in the gray space in that area.
Nice.
So that's why I started AjaniMedia.
Awesome. Great. And then I know we just talked a little bit about songwriting. So with me, I'm writing some stuff, but I'm trying to also be a music supervisor, just join projects essentially. So I wanted to know, how many music supervisors are songwriters? Is that a common thing in the industry, or do you have any insight to shed on that?
I don't know every single music supervisor. I think at least from what I've seen, a lot of music supervisors aren't musicians. There are some who have a music background, but I see a lot of them aren't really aren't musicians. They're not musically trained, or So I see that sometimes they don't know how to answer questions when musicians are asking, like, how important is having a split sheet, or things like that. So it varies, but I think a lot of music supervisors, they get the opportunity, and they think it's cool. It is a cool job, and and then they like it and they fall into it, and then they just become a music supervisor.
Yeah. That's what I've been seeing with the theme. A lot of people have kind of just found their way into this area of the industry. So that's really interesting. And
it's a very small sector of the music industry. It's not like you're going to find like 100,000 music supervisors like there are musicians or producers out there. They're a very small but powerful group of people in terms of film and television, or even music video. It's just media in general.
Yeah. Cool. So I see on your LinkedIn header, or your headline, that you've been music supervising or already have music supervised a film called The Power of Movement. And I believe I may have watched a trailer on YouTube. So how has that experience been for you? It sounds really exciting.
It was very tough. Well, I wouldn't say tough. It was challenging. We're working. Well, my friend owns the studio, so we got it all the way to the Oscars, and we almost got shortlisted. But it was very interesting because every project is different, and we were dealing with Indian music, so dealing with people who are primarily outside the United States, and dealing with, we were trying to find, we had trouble finding the publishers and the whole 9 yards. It was very challenging because everything was based overseas, but we eventually got it done. There's a Shakira track we were trying to clear. That was too expensive. So, dealing with all those parameters and trying to get the project done, and trying to get, deliverables to the film, that was a very interesting and challenging thing. I think every film presents its own challenge or challenges. So that was definitely the biggest one when it came to that film.
Right. And I think too, these licenses can be so expensive. So you think, okay, let's go indie. But then you might get in the weeds of, like you said, publishing information and tracking all of that down.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fact that they were indie. It was Bollywood. It was mostly Bollywood music. So.
I see.
So it was a completely Bollywood was a completely different ecosystem. So trying to understand that and trying to get the licensing, sometimes it can present its own challenges.
Right. Is there anything you wish you had done at the beginning of it to maybe help yourself out with some of these challenges that we've talked about?
Well, I couldn't have foreseen these challenges. I did do my due diligence. I did my research. It was, I want to say I don't think I could have been more prepared, really. These challenges came along the way. So I couldn't have foresaw them. But for me, with this one project, it was just, okay, we have this. Like the first thing I went to was to Sony and Universal because we had some tracks we wanted to clear from them. That was an easier way because, I tried calling Universal, for example. They were like, oh, we'll get back to you in 4 to 8 weeks. I'm like, no. So I went the other route, found some other information and I got Universal A&R within, or was it Warner? I'm not sure. But within a day or two. So I wouldn't say I would have done anything differently. It was just like, it was just new challenges and we just had to approach it in a specific way.
Right. Yeah, I feel like things, like you said, like sometimes things just come up no matter what, how much you're prepared.
Right.
But I think you come out of it always learning something that you didn't before.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So with your time in music supervision, what are some technical skills that are important to be a great music supervisor?
Technical skills.
So like maybe some platforms or, kind of hard facts, things like that.
It's mostly administrative, really.
Yeah.
So it's mostly administrative and you have to understand how copyright works because that's really the grunt of it and organization. I wouldn't say it's not really, really technical, but you have to be very organized and you have to be very keen on what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing, So, so it's creative and administrative work.
Mm-hmm.
And also knowing how this copyright law works or, knowing the Copyright Act or some of the copyright laws is so important to this job because you're going to come up with certain challenges and you're like, okay, how does this work? Does this not work? Is this artist, he says he has this and he does a lease, or for example, like in the hip hop world, they do leases and commercially that can present some problems, but I'm not going to go into that, but things like that,
Mm-hmm. Right. Totally. And then what are some soft skills? So I know something is, dealing with different labels or, managing different personalities, that sort of stuff. Is there anything that comes to mind under that umbrella, like people skills?
Yeah, definitely. You have to have people skills because, like you just said, it's different personalities, So,
yeah.
Some people are so easy to work with. And then sometimes, like every project so far, when I've dealt with indie music, I'll be talking to an artist and then they disappear for like a month. I'm like, okay, they said they're going to deliver all these things to me. And then a month and a half later, they come back like nothing happened. So, that's my experience so far on the few films that I've worked on. But, you definitely have to have an eye on how to deal with different personalities.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we've been talking a lot about challenges. Do you have a favorite work accomplishment, like a real win that you're proud of?
Getting to the Oscars. I mean, that's the biggest one so far.
I think that's a great one. Nice. Yeah, and what was that like? Like, because people are putting out films all the time. So was that because of certain connections you had or festivals? I'm curious how that route was, how you were able to be considered.
That would probably be more of a question to ask the producer, but we all learn from the process. The producers were pushing it, and my friend Aaron was the director, and he was pushing it. And for me, it was okay. Like I had some music and custom music into the film, so my responsibility is to make sure that the music gets as much exposure as it gets. You have to think about release schedules and try to get as much exposure out there. I submitted it to the guild for nomination. We didn't go far with that, but I mean, it was just a learning step. It was just we were learning about that process. So now that we're there, we're just going to, if we decide to go that route, we know what we have to do. We know what the standard is. I think we had a better half. We were probably in the top 50, top 25, maybe in terms of documentary. So we were there. So there are other things that what goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of politics. There's also, you have to campaign. It's just not just like you have a great film and you get it to the Oscars. You actually have to campaign for it. So, that was a learning experience. So there's a lot of things that go into getting a nomination,
right, or
getting a consideration.
Yeah. Something that I have done, I have one project with me now, and it's in pre-production, right? So there's a script written that is continuing to being rewritten, but they wanted to bring a music supervisor on board. So I got in contact with someone. I mean, truthfully, I went on Reddit and said, hey, I really want to be a music supervisor. I'll music supervise your film for free. Like, reach out to me if you want to work together. So that's how this project came about. So I'm new to all of this, and basically we're talking about music, and I just wanted to know, is it helpful to write? I've heard from other people that it's not, writing specific cues into the script. Like if you have any experience with pitching or something like that, or should those music conversations just be understood like with our internal team and then to be utilized in post-production? Like I wanted to get like how you're thinking about that.
Well, the director I work with, I mean, we have we're very close. So, I can't really speak on, other projects because I haven't really worked outside our own production, team. Mm-hmm. So I can't really speak for other films, but the way he works is, maybe I would say maybe authentic, unique, but sometimes I might just say, hey, I have a song, and then he goes through the film. He plays every single song throughout the film to see what fits or what doesn't fit, and then he comes back to me and says, hey, this doesn't work, or I need new music, or I need more music. So that's really what the working relationship is. We piggyback off of our ideas. Like sometimes I might have an idea. I see an artist and I have a song. I'm like, okay, I think this would go well within the film. And I go to him and then, we look at it, and then he says, okay, let's do it. So then, I get the paperwork done. He tells me, like, make sure, get everything streamlined. You're a one-stop shop for the artist. I get the paperwork done. I sort that out, and then we get the music within the film, within the scene. So that's really how I've been working with him. So, and I know probably in different types of production teams or, different types of studios, the workflow is different, but that's been my experience so far.
Nice. Awesome. And then I think to close this out, it would be great. Do you know, like, what trends or directions do you see for the future of music supervision? I know we talked a lot about indie artists, but is there anything that you feel like that industry is going to grow towards?
I can't really foresight, because I'm all the way in Miami, so I'm not really in the core of the music supervision world. But I think from what I've been seeing, I think Latin music reggaeton is going to change the media landscape because, we have, I don't know if you saw the recent, what's it called? The recent documentary with J Balvin and there's people doing, Nicky Jam has a series on documentaries. Maybe this is just a niche within music supervision, but I think there's going to be a lot of new stories being told through, I guess, Spanish or Latin media. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to have a significant impact.
Yeah, that's really insightful. I never even thought about that. But yeah,
I'm interested to see how it plays out. But definitely, there's going to be, I think, a big rise in that in the music scene. Just music purely, it's now bigger than country music.
Yeah,
which is an amazing feat. So music and film and TV and television and radio and the whole 9 yards. I think that's a big trend to look forward to or look into as it continues to rise and grows.
Cool, awesome. And what was the name of that documentary? I want to check it out.
The Kid from Medellin.
The Kid from. Awesome. Yeah, so I really appreciate you talking to me today. I'm super interested in all of this stuff, so these meetings are super helpful to me. And I hope we can stay in touch.